Okay, guys, this is the fan reaction show to the Tottenham Hotspur 0, Manchester City 1 game. What can I say? In the end, I think Spurs probably should have got something out of it. Very good performance in that second half, but Man City showed a bit of professionalism and found a way to really, just see the game out really more than anything. But this show is all about you guys talking to Spurs fans from around the world about their feelings about the game. So let's get to it and start with Melvin in Malta. Melvin, how you doing, mate? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. A weird result, I guess. I don't know. I just went into the game thinking with our momentum, I think we can get something out of it today. And the lineup was strange, and at the same time, it wasn't. We kind of expected some kind of rotation, not to that extent. Not starting Son, nearly worked out, but it didn't. Disappointing with the result. I thought we deserved the draw at the end. The attacking in the first half wasn't that good. The second half it improved. The key players for me were, I thought Danso had a really excellent game. He was dangerous in moments. I thought that was the way we were going to score. We were going to score from a corner or a set piece or something like that. He looked like he was going to score, which is bad for me to say that because the attack didn't for a long time. We couldn't get something on target. And then when we did, it was 65 minutes and the subs came on. And I thought, Sonny did okay. He should have buried that one. I thought maybe the old human Son would have scored that one. Tell didn't do much. Kulusevski came on too late, I think, to impact the game. And similar stories, like when we attack, where are our attackers? I thought Medicine. I was arguing with my dad before the lineup. He was telling me, why do you not play Heung-min Son against Man City? He's like, why did we gift them this win? And I didn't have an answer for him. I don't know. It just is saying the Europa League is our main priority a good enough excuse? Maybe you could say, but I think Postecoglou's learned from his mistakes. He needs to rest. He rested Spence. He didn't drop them, did he? He didn't drop them. He rest. It's clear that he was resting them. He was giving minutes. He's giving minutes into the legs of the players we need long term. Odegaard played 60 minutes today. Johnson, getting some more minutes. They need minutes. Disappointing, yeah. It's a strange one to take. City's like our bogey team. When I was talking to my work colleagues, I told them we'll beat them today. For some reason, it's like I'm always confident with them. They are a world-class team, City, but it's like when we beat them, we have no fear for some reason. It's a strange feeling because they're an excellent side, and they certainly made it difficult for us. We were lucky to be 1-0 in the first half. I thought, we defended okay, but they kept exploiting the space we were allowing for them, and we had absolutely no space down the wing, which is credit to Guardiola and his tactics. I don't know what the game plan was. I thought our passing was very poor the first half. I mean, we didn't do anything for our attackers. Everything was overhit every single time, and I thought it's not the wingers that were the problem. It's the people trying to give them the ball, the service. Pedro Porro, Medicine, Bentancur, Bergvall, they kept overhitting these passes. The only really good pass, which I saw in the first half, was from Archie Gray onto Odegaard, which was a brilliant pass. But I just thought these people need to sharpen up their passing, and that will come with time. I just don't think we're quite there yet, even in attack. I know they've had a couple of weeks of now doing training sessions with Postecoglou, not just recovery sessions, and it's going to take time to click. I don't know how you felt, Barnaby. I missed your preview. I usually watch that before I come on, but I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I was really pleased that we got into halftime 1-0 down, because it could have easily been 3 or 4. And I did have a feeling that once we got in at halftime 1-0, I thought, I actually thought Postecoglou would make changes at halftime, and then he didn't. He clearly has it. This is another example for me of how it's clearly all perfectly decided that he's only going to be caring really about the Europa League, because he clearly already decided that they're getting 60 minutes and then the subs are going to be made. And that's exactly what happened. And then after that, I just felt like we probably deserved something from it. And we made enough chances, but City were pretty smart in how they saw the game out in the end. And I think the most important thing that we're now missing, like the team is starting to come back together. We're starting to see some elements of Angel. There was some lovely stuff, especially when Spence came on down the left, getting bodies, overloading them down the left. But the thing we're really missing now is Solanke's ability to hold it up in the final third. So then we can offer something different as well. If we need to relieve some pressure, we can hit it up into Solanke's chest and he can win fouls or hold it up. And that's what we're missing at the moment. It's too soon for Tell to be able to do that in the Premier League.
Yeah, it annoyed me a little bit how quickly we were losing the ball in the first half. I mean, we'd get the ball, it'll be a goal kick or something like that, and they have it again. It's like literally a seconds. They have it again. I'm telling my dad, I'm shouting at the TV. They have the ball again. It's like it's seconds. We need Solanke back. I'll be buzzing to have him. The team will look different with all these players. How many players are coming back? Van de Ven, Romero, Solanke, Richarlison.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's competition for places, Barnaby. They need to fight. They need to show. They need to produce. And I'm happy with Odegaard, even though, I expected a bit more. I was arguing with my dad before the game started. I told him Odegaard will do something today. I was sure of it. But he's a good player. He's still only 20 years old.
He'll improve. And I'm not sure if necessarily he is going to be better on the left than he is on the right, because I like the idea on the right of him beating players to get to the byline and then cutting back. Whereas on the left, he's seemingly always running into trouble and not that desperate to get to the byline down the left. In fact, even Timo Werner is a bit more keen to get to the byline down the left than Odegaard seems to be. But Odegaard's not played much football, so it'll take time.
Yeah, even these players together, realistically, they have not played much minutes together, all of them. I know the season has been so disruptive with injuries. They've not played 3, 4, 5 consecutive games. I know. Exactly. I know I used to say that it's going to click by January, give it time. But in reality, these players not played many games. So it will take some time to click. I mean, disappointing to not get out of the game, especially playing at home, especially with, a full stadium. I had friends who went to the game and they were excited. I thought when you go to the game, you're always disappointed that you don't get a result, you don't get to see a goal. We'll learn from this. And like you said, I think the Europa League is massively important for our project. It will do us a world of good, and I have my heart set out on the Europa League this season for a magnitude of reasons. To see Heung-min Son lift the trophy would be immense, and I don't want to get into that conversation because that's a whole podcast in itself. But yeah, the Europa League is massive for us this season, and yeah, I think all my eggs are in that basket.
Yeah, me too. And a week off now, so a chance to get more injuries back and get more training into that team. And then hopefully we can go to AZ Alkmaar away leg first and get a really strong result there. That's what I'm hoping. Anyway, listen, Melvin, thanks so much for joining me on the show. Thanks once again. It's always great to talk to you and speak to you in a week's time, I'm sure.
Yeah, all the best, man. See you.
Top man. Bye-bye. Okay, next up, we are going to the UK and Alex. Alex, what did you think of that performance, mate?
Hi, Barnaby. I thought it was okay. First half, really, really poor. Didn't offer much at all. I don't know. I agree with Malcolm. We kept losing the ball way too quickly and kind of gifting City chances. And I know City have been on a bit of a bad run this season, but I still feel like obviously they're a world-class team on the day. And you can't afford to be in players that they've got like Marmoush, Haaland, and players like that chances in space. And I thought that really exemplified the first goal as well. I thought Danzo went running up the pitch and left space in behind, and then it was just 3 or 4 passes and City were in the box, and then Haaland tapped it in. And I thought that wasn't really good enough. I really take issue this season with our defending. I don't think our defending's been anywhere near good enough. I know we've had a lot of injuries at the back and things, and I know it's asking a lot of like Archie Gray, a young lad, to step up and do a great job, which he has been doing. But I still think the defending's not not been good enough. Like the amount of space we leave and just the errors at the back and kind of rushing out. And I don't know. I don't think it was great. But I thought second half really improved. I thought we were good goal even for a draw probably as well. I thought we had a couple of decent chances, especially that Sarr one at the end as well.
Yeah.
And I really thought we could have nicked something at the end. I thought we deserved it based on the second half. But like we say, it's happened too many times this season, Barnaby, where we play really poorly in the first half, come out the second half, play better, but it's always too late. And against teams like City, it's just you can't afford to do that. So yeah, we got what we deserved in the end. But I thought a draw may have been a fair result.
Do you see enough positives there, though, to kind of agree with what Ange has been saying for the last few months? Is that, when the players come back, you'll see us starting to play the football that we know that we're capable of?
Yeah, I think so. I think you can kind of see that recently with players coming back for the United and Ipswich games, and even tonight in parts as well. I can definitely see what he's talking about. When we do get the whole complement back, we'll be a lot better for it, especially the two. Because you got to think as well that the two centre backs and the striker are arguably the three most important positions in the team. And you could argue that Gundogan, Romero, and Solanke are three of the best players in their positions in the league as well. So if you take them out of any team, you'll be a worse team. But yeah, I mean, you can kind of see it slowly coming together now a little bit with the players back. I do also think that probably early in the season when we did have the full squad, there were some performances that weren't good enough. The Ipswich home game comes to mind. We had a whole team out there and we still lost. But yeah, I can definitely see kind of the green shoots coming back. And hopefully now over these next 7 to 10 days-ish, we can see Solanke, Gundogan, Romero, Richarlison all back for that Alkmaar game. Even if they don't start, it'll be a massive kind of psychological boost for the team to see them on the bench, knowing that if we do go behind against Alkmaar, that we can bring them on. And I think by the time that game comes around, they should definitely be ready to play some part of it. If not for that game, then Bournemouth, definitely on the Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, listen, Alex, thanks so much for being a part of the show, and hopefully speak to you after that Alkmaar game and a victory.
No worries, Barnaby. Thank you. See you later.
Mate. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Okay, next up, I'm going to Tim. Tim, how are you, mate? What did you think of that performance?
Can I say pretty pleased in defeat? It's we shan't talk about the first half at all, but the second half, we didn't really give them anything apart from that disallowed goal. I thought we played really well. Very pleased with Bergwall again. I'm with you on that. You talked about Gray looking like Lothar Matthäus. If I think Bergwall's got the touch of Beckenbauer's about him. So if we have those two, I'm quite happy with that. I just one of the good things that Andrew's just been interviewed on the TV and he's saying the good news, there's no fresh injuries and he's expecting 2 or 3 players back next week, which is possibly the best news today. It's good to see people back and getting the minutes in their legs, but I know people are saying, it wasn't the side they were expecting it to be, but I'm completely with you. It's all about the Europa League and making sure we got all those fresh legs. And we saw in the second half when people coming on, Spence and Kulusevski, when we've got our, I'm going to say full team in air quotes.
Yeah,
we look really good. And if we've got Solanke up front, we're completely different. They just play back a lot of the chances, and they're all for people who aren't particularly fit or not with a lot of confidence. People like Odebear or Tell or Sonny. I think someone with some confidence who's fit is going to stick at least 1 or 2 of those away. Yeah,
completely agree. And how are you feeling now then in terms of the league? We've got Bournemouth next. Do you think that the reality of what you're seeing now that the players are coming back means that we will go on a kind of a decent winning run? And tonight we just came up against a team who are a little bit too experienced and weathered for us to turn over.
Yeah, I think a fair result would have been a draw tonight, even us pinching it. Just a bit of luck in our direction, that the Sarr one comes in a bit lower and he's able to tuck it away a bit more. I don't think the luck was with us today, and I don't think the referee was particularly with us in the first half at all. I think we're likely to do okay in the league. I think we're not on, we're not going to be like Arsenal, championship winning form. We're going to be more just ticking over and making sure all our eggs are in the basket of Europa League, and I'm perfectly happy with that. That we'll sit, bottom of the top half, if you like, sort of 8th, 7th or 8th probably will finish. But I want us to keep our stars, our good players wrapped in cotton wool. I need to talk about Jed Spencer again. He's just unbelievable. That boy is unbelievably good. He's got such a change in pace and control and strength that we're like, where's this boy been all our life? It's him and Gray and Bergwall are just like on a different planet at the moment.
Yeah, completely agree. And I just think it's so exciting. I mean, listen, there may well be a big post-mortem to this season at the end if we don't win the Europa League, but the blooding of these players, especially Bergwall and Gray, like you said, is going to just stand us in such amazing stead for the future. I
think so. I think in the summer they'll shed a good couple of 3 players and hopefully bring some experience in. I mean, can you imagine like Bergwall with an experienced player next to him, Gray playing in centre back or even in midfield? There's going to be so much competition about that. If we bring in another 2 or 3, 1, 2, 3 decent blooded players in there, I think we're okay. And although we lost tonight, I'm thinking, this is okay. Odobed's get some minutes in his legs. Johnson's Johnson, as you say, his 3 silky skills. He is what he is. And it's just nice to see players back, and Bentancur getting, back to his sort of best. Not the greatest game today, but he's still a good player.
Agreed. And obviously we've got to talk about next week's Europa League game. What is a good result? What is the result we need going to AZ Alkmaar in the first leg? Just not lose it, I guess.
Just not lose it. But that's not how Ange plays, is it? No. I mean, it's not going to be, right, boys, we're just going to sit behind, and not lose this game. I think they'll go out to win that game and nick it like 2-1 or something. And hopefully almost win the tie in the first leg. Because I just don't think it's in the team's DNA to go there and go, right, let's just park the bus and hope for a 0-0 or 1-1. No. It's just not going to happen. But the more you see this team, the more you kind of realise that they're almost like, if it was like American football, they're like a 4th quarter team. They or even a second half team. They kind of weather a storm in the first half. We rarely win a match in the first half. And our fitness and our pace kind of takes people apart in the last 15, 20 minutes. And I think he's just going to keep going on that and hopefully kind of grind it out first and then maybe hopefully nick a goal or 2. I think we'll nick that. We should do. We've got the class to nick it, especially if we've got some good players back. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if AZ Alkmaar try and kind of park the bus themselves. And if so, that is something we've struggled against. That's something throughout Ange's reign. And the only times I've seen us where we've looked pretty good at that is actually when he's played Kulusevski and Maddison together in midfield. But I can't see him doing that in an away European Not at all. Game. No, and I don't know when Mickey's back. I mean, he's better at that sort of thing as well because he can come out with the ball. And I don't know when Dom's back. He's the sort of player you need when they're on a low block, just to kind of muscle people and make things difficult in the box. So a lot will depend on who's coming back when as well. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for being a part of the show, mate. Really appreciate it. And let's speak again next week. See you later, mate. Bye. Bye-bye. Okay. Next up, I'm going to the USA and Matt. Matt, thanks for being patient, mate. How are you feeling about? How you doing, Barnaby? Yeah, not bad, mate. What do you think? I'm okay. Can you? I feel good. Of course, you never feel great after a loss. But, I mean, if you look at the stats, if you look at our patterns of play, if you look at some of the patterns of play that it's carried on over the last 2 Premier League matches, especially this past weekend's one, where you saw a lot of those similar patterns of play at the very beginning of the season. And so, again, like your previous viewers were talking about, it's that extra time on that training pitch, that extra ability to actually see and work out these things on the field. And you could see it. It was disappointing to not come away with anything. Of course, it's never fun to lose a game, but in the second half, I think your previous viewers pointed it out. I mean, it was one-way traffic. We had a lot of chances.
Another day, Sonny buries that chance. The Sarr chance at the end. They had a disallowed goal, but other than that, I mean, it was we took control of the game in the second half. So, I mean, it's easy to look at the negative, but overall, considering where we were like a month ago, I mean, we're making good strides. We're getting recoveries back. I feel good. I feel good. It's again, Barnaby, I feel much better if we came away with 3 points. But you know, you gotta, that's football. That's football, right?
Of course. And a lot of people in the comments, as ever, a lot of people in the comments arguing about whether Ange Postecoglou is the right manager for Tottenham or not. Where do you stand on that?
Okay, so I'm not going to really give the man too much crap about the injuries because, I mean, it's hard to really see a system. You can see some of his fingerprints on it, but there are questions about the long-term sustainability of this. Can we keep running? Can we keep having these same types of injuries because we press so hard? I think hopefully what Ange has learned from this last couple of months is that you can't go 100%. You have to have some kind of safety brake on to a certain extent. You can't go 100% at all times. You can go 100% for maybe like 20 minutes, then bring it back, then bring it up. That's how it works. So, I mean, for your question, right now, I'm going to reserve judgment. I'm going to very simply reserve judgment. We'll see how the season plays out. If we move up the table, if we have a real nice, deep European run, who knows? Maybe we get a cup. That these are like these are holy words that we should be talking about. If we get a cup, if we get some kind of trophy, that'd be great. But again, we're just going to reserve judgment, see how it plays out. No pressure right now. I want to see the team perform, and some of those things that we saw at the very beginning of the Ange Postecoglou era, like some of those patterns of play, I want to see again. If we see that coming back in the way that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, then it's a positive thing. But again, I really think at the end of the season, we really need to just sit down and reassess everything across the board, depending on where we end at the end of the season, depending on how the Europa goes, depending on players leaving. I know there's rumors of Romero wanting to leave. So, I mean, I wish I could give you a better answer, Barnaby, but I'm kind of like indifferent right now because there's still some things to play for. Yeah. Of course, if we go out of the Europa League on this next round, I mean, I don't know if there's really any way back at that point.
Yeah.
Like if we go out to AZ, we're gone.
Yeah. And just to bring it back to tonight's game, who really impressed you tonight? Who do you think, if you were giving a Spurs player of the match, who would you have given it to?
I think a couple of other people mentioned it. Danso looked very composed and reassured coming out of the back line. I really wouldn't say much great things about our front three. The whole front line was not linked up. I think you were mentioning earlier there was a lot of overhit passes. We saw that a few times. I mean, so if you're going to have to give it to a person, I'd actually give it to Danso or Vic, because I mean, based on the statistics, then like the XG, if you look at all that stuff, and half, they could have been up 3-4-0 going into halftime.
Yeah.
We are like a second half. I think one of your previous guys said we're like an NFL football team. We're a fourth quarter team. I just wish we were a 90-minute team, yeah. Like a full two-half team. But we saw nice things in the second half. But I'm going to have to give it to my man Vic. He's looked great since he's come back from injury.
Yeah, he really has. I think we've really benefited from his experience, and not to mention his shot stopping. Okay, so obviously AZ next week. Yes. What's your prediction for that game?
I think we're going to go. We're going to go there to win because we don't do that park the bus stuff. I think your previous viewer was saying something similar. I think we could go there and get a 3-1. To be honest, if they play an open type of football that they played in the league, I don't think they're going to play as open as they play in the league. But I mean, if we keep developing these patterns, we can pull teams apart if we really get these patterns of play right. And so that's what it comes down to. If we get the crisp passes in there, I think we could easily win 3-1. You come back home. I mean, at that point, then, you could really manage that second leg, and hopefully we continue to get these players back. We don't get any new injuries. Please, fingers crossed, no new injuries. But yeah, I think we could go there and really get something good to come home on.
Brilliant. Listen, Matt, thanks so much for being a part of the show. Really appreciate it. Let's speak again after next week's game.
Yes, sir, Barnaby. You take care of yourself.
See you later. Bye-bye. Okay, next up, back to the UK and Richard. Richard, thanks for being patient, mate. How are you feeling after that defeat?
Well, Barnaby, I mean, I'm quite encouraged, to be honest, by, as you would say, their young players. Archie Gray has continued to impress, and Bergvall, I thought, had a good game. So those are the positives. And another positive is that the bench is looking a lot more stronger than it previously was. I mean, starting from the Ipswich game, and we've been getting some good results, but perhaps tonight was a bridge too far. I would certainly say that it's probably an exaggeration to say that we deserved a point, because in the first, 30 minutes, I think we could have been the 3-0 down. Some of the sitters, that sittiness, that is still the main problem that we have, Barnaby, where we're too easy to play against defensively. As much as we've had issues with injuries, there's no organisation in the back four. And, we concede chances after chance. And sometimes that's going to bite you hard, as it did when we played Liverpool, for example, at home. Let's be honest, City weren't as ruthless as they can be. So, we had a chance at the end, and it was quite a surprise that it remained 1-0 throughout the 90 minutes. But I'm encouraged that now that we've got some players back. But the major problem I have is that it doesn't seem like the defence has been worked on. I do strongly believe that it's the system more than anything else in defence, which is going to be his downfall, because I don't really give us a chance of winning the Europa League at all. To be honest, I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope we have glory, we go all the way and we win the Europa League and we finish in the Champions League, but I just can't see it with this manager, us going all the way and having glory.
And you don't think potentially the addition of Van der Ven and Romero might shore up the defence a little bit?
Well, let's be honest, even when we had those players, before the major injuries we had, Barnaby, we still had problems where we're losing to the likes. We believe that it's the system or the lack of flexibility it has when it comes to the way he plays. He has this gung-ho way of playing, and a lot of the times it can be exploited. And it's not an exaggeration to say when we played Liverpool, we could have lost by 10. And even the game against Ipswich, which I followed, I mean, in the first, 10, 15 minutes or so, we didn't come out of the blocks so very quickly, did we? And we could have conceded a couple of goals. So we're too easy to play against. And defensively, we do have issues. And it's very scary for me, I don't know about you, when we're constantly playing it out from the back. There are times you've got to be a bit more pragmatic and change your style. And this is the major problem I have, because we do have a very good squad. We have a squad that is better than where we are in the league at the moment. And I can't foresee us climbing up the table to finish 7th or 8th or something like that. I think that's beyond us. I think the players will be focusing a lot on the Europa League, but don't underestimate AZ Alkmaar. I mean, they have a player that used to play for us in Parrot, who's having a very good season, where he scored 12 goals. And they beat Galatasaray. We can remember this season against Galatasaray, they could have hammered us a lot more by the score they had against us. So we can't underestimate AZ Alkmaar.
Yeah, completely agree. And just before I let you go then, you kind of see it as unsustainable with Ange Postecoglou. Do you see a manager around who, let's say it's in the summer, you would replace Postecoglou with, who could then take this young, exciting, talented squad to still play attacking football, but with a little more of a kind of a defense set up to not maybe concede so many chances, specifically down wide areas?
Absolutely. I wouldn't wait until the end of the season to think, oh, shall we keep Postecoglou or not? I think we should have some sort of plan exactly who we want to target. And for me personally, it would be Areola at Bournemouth. Areola has had similar problems to us, albeit they haven't had any European football, but they've had something like 9-10 injuries. And look at the season they've had. I know they've lost their last 2 games, but I think Areola could certainly get a better tune out of this squad than Postecoglou. So I'm hoping, because this has been a disastrous season as far as I'm concerned, there's been far too many lows than highs. I would certainly have, a developing manager like Areola. If we could get somebody such as the Bayer Leverkusen manager, Alonso, that would be a dream. But Areola, he's got good Premier League experience now. He's getting a lot out of Bournemouth with the team that he's got there, the squad he's got there. I think he could do far better than Postecoglou.
All right, Richard. Well, listen, thank you so much for being part of the show. Really appreciate it. Let's talk after that AZ Alkmaar game, and hopefully we can be talking about the potential of a European quarter-final. Okay, mate. Thanks, Richard. Cheers.
I hope so.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Cheers. Bye-bye. A bit of a delay on that one. Let's hope there isn't a delay all the way in the Czech Republic with Steve. Steve, thank you for waiting around, mate. What did you think of that 1-0 defeat?
No problem. I didn't hear your question. Did you say? Did you ask me?
Yeah. What did you think of that 1-0 defeat, Steve?
Yeah, I was obviously disappointed. I thought we should have got something out of it. I thought we deserved to get something out of it. And the ball, in the final third, it just wouldn't run for us. With some of the chances we had, perhaps Sonny wasn't sharp enough to take the chance from Johnson. But my question is again about Johnson. Why is he just putting in that one cross in the whole game? He did what did it once as opposed to at least 3 or 4 times. And if you've got 3 or 4 more of those type of crosses, then you've got more chance of scoring. But I was like you. I was absolutely amazed with Bergvall again. What a player! What a player we've got on Gray. Absolutely for the future. These guys. Danso was immense again. Lots of blocks. Nearly scored. Fantastic header, which I knew he'd done for his previous club. I think he scored 4 goals. I think they were all with his head. I'm not sure, but so I knew he was an aerial threat. And of course, when Spence came on, changed the whole dynamic down the left-hand side. Fantastic. Yeah, so overall,
I just love
overall solid performance. Just couldn't quite, get that goal, but not overly disappointed like most of the fans.
I love how I think Bergvall is now really starting to see his own importance within the team, and I think he is feeling the confidence now that he is actually going to start ahead of Bissouma and Sarr. And I said a lot, the cliche during the game, a lot kind of taking the game by the scruff of the neck, but he really was in those driving runs, and he's a kid. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's great to see, isn't it? In the early stages, he was sort of he was getting a pass now and again, but now he's going looking for the ball. And you sort of, I don't know about everyone else, but I sort of get a feeling, oh, come on, here we go. And he goes on a surging run. He's always trying to get forward. He's always positive. And he gets his foot in. He challenges. He fights. He's got an eye for a pass. Yeah, really. And Gray is absolutely fantastic as well. So it's good for the future. A lot of young players coming through.
And people in the comments saying we've got to talk about Kevin Danso a bit more. He looks like a bit of a steal at 20 odd million quid, doesn't he?
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely. Yeah. Like you said as well, he did it in the previous game, bringing the ball forward now and again on a sort of surging run. He went down the left-hand side a couple of times. And I think he's difficult to stop. He's a big boy. So that was good to see as well. Yeah, definitely. And all the blocks he was putting in, a lot of the shots where he got his head in the way, so blocking it with his head, and winning crosses, which we were very weak in the air, weren't we, in the early part of the season with set pieces and corners. And he seems to have had a good effect on that, a good bearing on that. Yeah. So, yeah, very pleased with him.
And Steve, how did you feel about Ange kind of resting some of our big hitters and only giving them kind of 25 minutes? Do you see that as a mistake in hindsight?
well, hindsight is a wonderful thing. That's another cliche, but I'm more of a type of person who likes to try and get, or prefers that the manager or the trainer gets the job done early on. You know, so we go at them like we did in the second half, but earlier on with Sonny and Jed Spence and Kulishevsky, and really take the game to them and try and get a couple of goals, or at least don't go behind. But I do understand the logic or the thinking behind it, as you've always mentioned, that it's probably because of the Europa League position. That he doesn't want to tire people out too much. I was surprised, like most people, disappointed, to be honest. But he's the gaffer, so he knows what he's doing.
But is it not just that, almost a little bit of pragmatism from Ange, in that the only important thing about, not the only important, but the most important thing about tonight was no more injuries?
Well, obviously he doesn't want to lose, but I mean, it's like you said as well. I was, texting with friends in other parts of the world, and we all sort of thought that he would make the substitutions at half time on the 45, on the second half, and he waited a bit too long. It's a matter of opinion. I think he should have brought them on after half time. Would have, because I thought if he didn't, he's really going to make a rod for his own back if he doesn't make these changes. He did eventually, but I don't know. It almost paid off. It's we're splitting hairs there. The chances we had, we should have scored, but then again, they should have put 2 or 3 away in the first half as well. So I think we did pretty well. With regard to what the last chap just said about the defence, but for God's sake, how many times has that defence had to change over the period of time? And how many times? I mean, the 6-3 drubbing. Not to say anything too harsh against poor old Forster, but he was caught in no man's land so many times with the through ball or the ball over the top against Liverpool in that thrashing that. It was inevitable. It's not, it was extremely unlucky that we had Vicario out and we had to play him. And obviously when we played in the League Cup later on with Kinski as playing like a sweeper, it was a whole different ball game, and we had other players back. So I don't know. I think some fans really expect a lot, and I for one, I've always backed Ange, and I think he needs time. Even if we don't win the Europa League, even if we finish 12th or 13th this season, I'd give him another season personally. That's my opinion. Yeah.
All right, Steve. Well, listen, thanks again for being part of the show, and let's speak after that AZ game next week.
Yeah, 4-1.
Oh, I love it. I hope so. Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay, and last but by no means least, the very patient John. Thank you for being so patient, John. How are you feeling, having watched the game and listened to everybody's thoughts? What do you think?
Hi, Barnaby. I think that the game really was a perfect kind of metaphor for the season. Really, I think there was a lot of recurring things. A loss by 1 goal. I still think there's only 2 games where we have lost. It's been by more than 1 goal. Not enough firepower, and I think that goes back to the summer window. Don't get me wrong, I like Tell, but we needed more in the summer. He's going to need a bit of time. I do think the defending was an issue. What was the last guy's name?
Steve.
Steve, yeah, he mentioned how it's changed a lot. That is a massive issue, obviously, the defense changing a lot, but we haven't defended well enough. I think Haaland, I was watching Haaland. I made a decision before the game. I wanted to look at Haaland and Bergvall very closely, and Haaland looked really up for it before the start of the game. You could just tell, and his goal was actually of all those many chances they had in the first half. His goal was actually the easiest chance to defend. He was almost walking through the penalty area there, and it was a very good cross from Doku, but it was just so easy for him, and he should have been picked up better.
Yeah, I was slightly disappointed that Udogie, considering he was facing the right way, didn't put in the extra 2-yard run to kind of make sure that he was goal side of him there.
Yeah. But then that goes on to another sort of theme of the game, really. I mean, Udogie playing. I would have of the three players that didn't start that perhaps could have done if you wanted to go for it more. Son, Son, Spence, and
Kulusevski.
Decky.
Yeah.
Spence is the one that I would have liked to have seen start, but I think that game was about managing minutes. I was pleased to see Sonny get a rest. I was pleased to see Decky get a rest. I mean, Decky just needs a sun lounger somewhere, doesn't he, for a fortnight, really. So I was pleased to see him get a rest. But Spence, he's younger, he's hungrier, and we've got over a week till the next game. But yeah, he's obviously just managing minutes. Maybe he just realizes Spence is so important now.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. What did you make of Gray and Bergvall's performance? Trying to find some positives.
Yeah, they're in my positives column here. They're in my positives column as the same point, those two, because yeah, I mean, crikey, Gray is just he's something else. I think Bergvall played really well. I think we really struggled in midfield in the first half, especially. And if Bergvall had somebody with a bit more muscle there with him, because yeah, we struggled in midfield.
You know what? I've just had a thought about Archie Gray. It's the first time I thought about it, but everyone's kind of assuming that Thomas Tuchel is going to play a three at the back, a 3-5-2 for England. Archie Gray is the absolute epitome of the middle player in a back three whose job is to kind of sweep up and bring the ball out of defense and see everything in front of him and play passes. It might not be wild to think that Archie Gray could be involved in the England squads in the next. Certainly, maybe it's a bit early for him now because he's only 18, and that's almost an excuse not to bring him in. But certainly in the next couple of years, he's such a player.
He's had too many minutes this season at the age that he is for Tuchel not to be looking at him. I would say it's tricky because I'm still not really sure how I feel about Tuchel and how what his long-termism is really going to be. I think he could literally just be thinking about the next tournament and that's it, rather than the future development of the England team. But he's had too many minutes not to be considered for the squad. And he was there this evening.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
Just before I let you go, AZ next Thursday then. So what's your prediction for that game away?
I think we'll win. I think we could concede. I think it'll be tough. They're definitely not to be underestimated. Call me being a typical Spurs fan, but I can totally see Parrott scoring.
I call that the script.
Yeah. I don't want that to happen, but I think a 2-1. I think they will sit back. Alkmaar. Yeah.
Okay, 2-1. Well, I'll accept a 2-1 win. I'll accept that. Listen, thanks so much for being a part of the show, and let's talk, John, again after that game, and maybe your prediction will come true.
Cheers, Barnaby. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Okay, guys, thank you so much for sitting with me during the watch along, the post-match reaction, and the fan show. If you want to get involved in a future fan show and speak to me after one of the games, there's the email address, tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. That's tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. It's very important to us that this channel gives everyone a voice, particularly from those all around the world. So wherever you are from, please do get in touch.